This video was developed as a result of a request made on Reddit for tips on installing solar panels in a cargo conversion trailer. There are many videos on YouTube that will review the panels and give you overviews of MPPT controllers. Here we decided to cover some of the smaller items of mounting panels that we've learned over the years. We hope that it's helpful for you. On our cargo conversion trailer, we have 400 watts of solar permanently affixed to the roof. We have an additional 200 watts of solar that are on movable panels that can be connected to either the battery box or to a separate lithium iron phosphate battery that we use not only to power components on the trailer, but also use it for a trolling motor on an inflatable boat. We originally had only 200 watts of solar on our trailer. Those were polycrystalline panels that we were able to get a good deal on. On Prime Day, we found a great deal on monocrystalline panels. We weren't sure whether we could mix and match, so after much research, we determined that we could mix and match polycrystalline and monocrystalline as long as the electrical characteristics were similar. And I can attest that the combination of the two is working quite well. We were also to get different size panels so we could mount them straddling our vent, as you can see in the video. One other trick we learned is the use of nylon lock nuts. Don't use the standard lock nuts that come with the panels. These tend to loosen over time with road vibration. Yes, you could use Loctite, but it makes it much more difficult later to take the panels apart if you need to. Additionally, we found that you end up often getting corrosion in the bolts and nuts. So the best solution we found is using inexpensive nylon lock nuts to fasten the panels. We found that using EPDM D-profile self-stick weather seal underneath the panel brackets serves a dual purpose. One, it provides a weather seal. You put your screws straight through them and into the wood blocks that we'll talk about later. Additionally, it provides some shock absorption for your panels mounted on the roof of your trailer. A couple of other tricks we learned is running wood ribs from the front to the rear of the trailer makes for an ideal mounting platform for both the ceiling inside the trailer and for mounting solar panels or anything else you may want to mount on the roof. In our case, we have one central beam that runs right smack down the center of the trailer, and then we have two additional beams on each side which match the width of the solar panels, so we can screw straight through the roof of the trailer into the wood beams, creating a stable surface for holding solar panels on the roof. An additional benefit we found of running the ribs is that it creates a gap between the internal drop ceiling and the roof. This provides the perfect place to run wiring. It also provides an air gap that helps with insulation, and we're thinking in the future of using this gap to run our air conditioning and have ducted air conditioning instead of the current unit that we have. A couple of other tricks we learned is on your front panels, angle them so the back of the panels is slightly higher than the front of the panels, and be sure to leave an air gap underneath the panels. This is required for panel efficiency. By angling the front panels, you cover the front of the rear panels and prevent road debris from getting under the panels, which will lead us to the next tip coming up. Another trick we learned is in mounting the panels to the roof, first lay down some Eternabond tape, then screw through the Eternabond tape and the previously discussed weather seal into the wooden support ribs underneath. Use some silicone while doing this. Then apply silicone liberally across the top of the brackets and the Eternabond tape. This creates a really good weather seal. After you smooth the silicone and it dries, apply additional Eternabond over the silicone. Sometimes we think our trailer is held together with Eternabond, and that may not be too far from the truth, but this stuff does work and it keeps the water out. We found it necessary to blend the front of the panels onto the trailer roof. If you don't do this, your panels will become collectors of road debris and bugs that will get underneath the panels, and it is a pain to clean up. We built this aerodynamic shield using sheet metal and Eternabond tape to blend it in and match the trailer's contours. One must-have item is a shut-off switch for the solar panels coming into the MPPT controller. If you ever need to remove or work on your MPPT controller and you do not disconnect the solar, you run the risk of creating a short or possibly even harming your MPPT controller. The same applies to having shut-offs to your battery. We have shut-offs both at the battery box and, most importantly, inside the trailer close to the door. We have a switch that turns off the batteries, and then we have a breaker installed on the negative side of the batteries. We repurposed the Jeep storage box to become our battery box. This battery box houses two 120 amp flooded lead acid batteries. These are inexpensive lead acid batteries we purchased for $100 each, which is a very good value for the power provided. We found that they require very little maintenance. The solar panels on the roof keep them charged. We check them for the need to add distilled water, and over 2 years we've only had to add distilled water once. Another benefit of this box is most of our 110 electrical connections are inside this box. There is a 1500 watt pure sine wave inverter that's mounted inside the box, along with breakers for all the connections. There is a USB-A and a USB-C outlet, an SAE outlet which goes outside the box, which could be used to plug in solar panels and feed this battery with the additional 200 watts of solar that we have in flexible panels. Or they could also be run the other way to access 12 volt power from an SAE connector externally. Inside this box is also a Bluetooth voltage and amp meter and a shunt to measure actual amperage used by these batteries. The connections for the 12 volt power is a direct connection inside the trailer, where there is also a fuse box and breakers. But to do 110 connection to the trailer, we run an extension cord from the outside power outlet to the shore power connection on the side of the trailer. Inside the trailer, there is a fuse box with two 15 amp breakers. One of the 15 amp breakers is used for the air conditioning, and the other one is used for everything else. We also used outlets with GFI protection throughout the trailer. Another inexpensive trick is to use a outlet checker plugged into the trailer. Whenever we connect it to ground power, it'll tell us whether the outlet is wired properly or not. If you look carefully, you'll notice two extension cords. The cord that we normally use for ground power is the heavy-duty yellow cord that you see in the box. In this case, we used another extension cord we were playing with, the big green long cord. We don't normally use this, but it just shows to demonstrate how an extension cord goes from the battery box to the trailer connections. An inexpensive trick that we found is the cutting sheets available at the dollar store make great covers for the batteries. It's not a good idea to leave the terminals exposed, and rather than trying to cover just the terminals themselves, we cover the whole thing using these flat sheets. It allows you to see the batteries but it covers the terminals quite well and prevents a short from an inadvertently dropped tool. We mostly use our camper in the southeast, and one of the items that we find is we have quite tall trees, and often the heat is intense, so we want to park our trailer in the shade. Here's where having the portable solar panel comes in handy. The trailer can be parked in the shade. You lose the efficiency of the solar panels on the roof, but by having portable panels, you can put those out wherever there may be sunlight and charge your batteries in that way. We have two 100-watt all-power solar panels. These are quite flat. As you can see here, we basically either hang them up or they will even fit in a slot over our microwave out of the way. So they take up almost no room for an additional 200 watts of solar power. We found that using a LiPo4 battery in Newport's Vessel battery box provides for a very versatile solution. We use this battery to power our induction cooktop, both inside and outside the trailer, to power an electric teapot, and also use it to power the trolling motor on an inflatable boat that we have. We did a complete video review on the use of this battery for the boat and for induction cooking that you can find on our channel. I want to end this video by giving you the appropriate caveats. These are things that have worked for us. There may be other things that work better for you. If so, please comment down below and let us know. Many of you live full-time on your cargo camper or your van. We do not. We use it as a fun vehicle. The most we have spent on our van is 3 weeks at one time. I'm sure that if we lived in this thing full time, we may do some things differently. So please give us your comments. Let us know what you like and let us know what you don't like so we can all learn.